Hello, so I'm going to talk to you about my taper week and how I taper for Hyrox. I hate doing this, but I feel like I need to say some sort of credentials so that you can know that I'm just not like telling you this information of someone who's not educated and who hasn't done it themselves. So I've completed 2 Hyroxes. I did Hyrox Manchester in January and Birmingham in October. And I'm due to do Hyrox Madrid on Saturday this week. So obviously, through my experience of taper weeks before, I can give you advice on how I've done it before and what's worked for me. What works for me might not work for you. It might not, but you have to sort of trial and error it yourself. But these are things that I've found from experience help me for my Hyrox races. So I hope you find it useful. And yeah, here you go. So basically, I had a plan for the taper week, and the plan I had to deviate slightly. Monday, I did an intense session. Tuesday, I also did an intense session. Wednesday, I was due to do a session on the ski erg, just doing some final preparation. But I noticed that I had some, well, I don't know if you can see, but I've got some calluses forming on my hands. And I was just like, do you know what? It's not worth the dramas of splitting a callus so close to the competition. So I scrapped yesterday's session. I just did an easy cycle. And I'm going to do a cycle today as well and keep it easy, keep it low to medium intensity, nothing too intense because the competition is in 2 days. Also, in terms of my taper, so everyone's different in terms of how they want to taper. My taper, I am doing kind of similar to what I did for Birmingham because it worked quite well. So I know that from previous experience that it's worked for me in this way, so I'm doing it this way. But what I would recommend is definitely at least the day before. Day before you shouldn't in my opinion, you shouldn't really be training because you want to save your glycogen stores for your competition day. So obviously when you train, you deplete your glycogen stores, which is your fuel for energy. So if you keep training and you're not replenishing your stores enough, you're going to have depleted glycogen stores for race day, and then you're going to probably, they term it bonking in cycling and I think running as well. But you're just basically going to struggle to maintain high intensity during comp day if you're not allowing yourself to rest beforehand. So that's what I'm going to do. In terms of Monday's session, so I was looking at what to do Monday. I was looking at different lunge techniques, came up with an idea of a definite of what I'm going to do for the lunges. Tried longer strides, tried shorter strides, tried the normal strides that I've been doing, and I'm just sticking to what I've been doing because it worked. And the longer strides, just with my knee and recovering from my knee injuries, it doesn't really sit well with me doing longer strides because it makes me sort of get up from the lunge in a weird position, and I don't want to put any strain on my knee. As it's still, I'd say it's near enough recovered now, but you still got to be mindful of it because it was only March that I tore the ACL. But yes, so that was Monday. I also decided and confirmed my strategy for the rower and what level I was going to do, what damper setting. So obviously, I always see taper week as a really good chance to confirm all your strategy stuff. So every week I've been doing a strategy session anyway, so I know kind of what I'm planning on doing for the strategy. But you just kind of confirming it and everything. I've got a document which has every single exercise for Hyrox, and it has every bit of the strategy of what I'm going to do, what damper setting, etc. So the night before, I'm just going to literally read through it, and I know that when I get to that ski erg, I'm doing X amount on the damper, and I don't have to even think. I just automatically go up to it, change it, and then that is that. So yeah, taper week's a really good chance to do that. It's also a good chance to work on the mindset. So in my last Hyrox, I noticed that for the sled push, going to the run after it was mentally quite challenging, and also because my legs were like jelly, so I wanted to get used to that feeling of discomfort in the legs. So on Monday's session, I did some sled pushing and some running, so I reduced the amount of laps on the sled push and reduced the amount of calories that I was doing on the air runner, rather than doing longer because of the fact that it's a taper week. So I don't want to be like doing too much on the sled that I end up absolutely knackering my legs out. But I wanted to still work at a high intensity and still practice just the transitions from a sled push straight onto a run, so that when I get onto the race and I'm doing the sled push, I can think of that moment. I can envisage myself doing that workout that I did on Monday, where I was doing the sled push straight onto the air runner, and know that, you know what, just you've done it in training, just try and go for it and maintain that intensity a bit better, because I need to think of ways to improve my time from Birmingham, and that was one of the things that I highlighted at the start of my programme that I wanted to work on. So yeah, taper week's a really good chance for you to work on your strategy. So you've got the exercise side of things where you're reducing your intensity. You've got the mindset side of things in terms of putting in sessions there for that taper week that's going to fuel you mentally for the actual race itself. The other mindset thing as well, like I touched on a second ago, was the strategy side of things. So thinking about your strategies. Another thing that I was considering was the farmer carries. Do I want to run? Do I want to do run walks? Do I want to just do walks? How am I going to hold them in terms of, do I want to be slightly leant forward? Do I want to be slightly leant back? I also spent a bit of time looking online at race walking, seeing about race walking, how they go faster, because if I get to the point where I can't run with the kettlebells, then I want to try and get as much speed as possible through my legs without running. So I wanted to have a look at how race walkers do it. But yeah, I really throw myself really into the whole strategy side of things, because that's what I love about Hyrox, is that like everything is so small fine margins between times. It could be a matter of milliseconds before you could have qualified for something, or you could have got like a place faster. So all of these little things add up. So if you work in training on your strategy side of things, and you practice these things, and you also work on mindset things, then you give yourself the best chance on race day to be able to cut down some of those times. And it's really, really handy that it's my third Hyrox as well. So because it's going to be my third one, I've had the experience of the first and the second one to kind of know, what I'm doing, or what has gone wrong in the past and what I needed to improve. Nutrition's another one. So on taper week, it can be quite tempting to reduce what you're eating because you're not training as much or as intense, but it's all going to help with keeping your glycogen levels high for race day by maintaining what you're eating, particularly the day before, particularly even 2 days before, just eating a little bit more than usual. Obviously not going overboard, but also being mindful not to cut down, because obviously you want to be mindful of it, because your appetite might change as well. When I train personally, my appetite is like up here. So if I'm reducing the intensity, then I still need to be mindful that, I might not have those cues the same to go and eat, like stomach's being like, feels empty, or like you feel like the need to go and eat. But I need to be mindful that it is important that I still get some energy in via my food. What else shall I talk to you about? I do have notes on my laptop, but I've not actually read any of them. I've just been kind of going freestyle. Let me just check that I've covered everything. Sleep's another one. So sleep, I've tried so hard to focus on sleep this week, but it's not been easy because, living arrangements means that I get woken up in the night by my granddad. Bless him. But I have been going to sleep earlier than usual, so I would have got more sleep than usual. But anyway, on Friday night, so I land at 11 something tomorrow in Madrid. So tomorrow night, planning on just like not setting an alarm for the morning. Actually, I just had in mind that I have some landmarks to tick off, so maybe I will. But I'll make sure I'll get a decent amount of sleep, particularly Friday to Saturday. So that is something else. Other things to consider is within your week, what else do you do aside from your Hyrox training that you might also need to cut down on? So, for example, I play football every Tuesday and Sunday, but I wasn't available. I made myself unavailable for the Sunday match last week, and also I didn't go to football training because it's my taper week and I've got the competition on Saturday. So I don't want to cause any sort of fatigue or get myself fatigued for the competition by doing too much in the week. So I limited that. Small things like wearing running trainers around. So my job's a personal trainer, so I'm walking on my feet a lot. So I don't want to be wearing Metcons, for example, which are really flat trainers, because if I'm doing loads of steps, then it's going to obviously have more impact through my body. So I want to try and have cushion trainers. So I'm wearing running trainers, stretching, massage going in when I can as well. Limiting the amount of skipping that I'm doing, because for the same reason as the football, I don't want to. Sometimes my shins get a bit sore from skipping, particularly because I love it so much. I end up doing it for so long. So limiting that as well. So yeah, I think that's it really. So I mean, if I was to conclude what I've said, I would say for taper week, don't completely rest for the whole week. Well, that would be my advice anyway, because you don't want to trick yourself to being into like kind of resting and feeling tight on race day, or feeling sort of like lethargic because you've not had your body moving for the days before. So make sure you keep moving, keep training. I personally keep my intense sessions still on a Monday and a Tuesday of the race week. Obviously all the races on Hyrox tend to be on the Saturday, so the Monday, the Tuesday definitely. The Wednesday I usually would as well, but because of my calluses I decided against it. And then the Thursday of the race week, I'll do a cycle. So I'll just do an hour cycle, not intense at all, just to get my body moving. And for mentality as well. Like, I get a bit fed up if I don't move and if I'm just like sedentary all day. So that's enough to get the mental stimulation, but not to kind of do too much that it would cause a negative consequence on like fatigue and stuff like that, because I'm not training too intense. Still making sure that I'm eating similar to how I would usually eat, keeping my sessions strategy focused, mentality focused as well, and honing in on the strategies for the race are a focus as well for taper week, as well as the attempt of sleep. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to do another video probably while I'm in Madrid, just talking you through how I'm feeling maybe. But if there's anything in particular you want to know for prior to the actual event itself, then please let me know and I will include it in the content for the next video. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching the content, and hopefully you found it interesting, useful, I don't know. But yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.